Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going over my college football playoff semifinal predictions. So in the quarterfinals, I had a record of 2-2, and that brings my record on the season to 217-56. Kicking things off in the Orange Bowl, and that is Notre Dame against Penn State. So Penn State, they're 13-2, and coming in off a win over Boise State, while Notre Dame is 13-1, and they're coming off a big win over Georgia. But this is a really interesting matchup, as we have two teams who are good offensively, have two really good rushing attacks, and great defensively. But offensively for Penn State, they're scoring 33.7 points per game, and their run game is elite, averaging 5.3 yards per carry, and rushing for 202 yards per game. And Penn State, they also have two running backs with over 1,000 rushing yards, as Katron Allen has run for 1,026 yards, and Nick Singleton has run for 1,015 yards. Now, Penn State's offense faces a very good Notre Dame defense that is the second best scoring defense in the country, allowing 13.6 points per game. Now, Notre Dame, they have a great all-around defense, but if they have a defensive weakness, it is against the run, as they're allowing 128 rushing yards per game, although they are holding opponents to just 3.6 yards per carry. And Notre Dame, they've also been great against the run so far in the playoffs, allowing under 70 rushing yards against both Indiana and Georgia. Then on the flip side, Notre Dame is good offensively, as they're the fourth best scoring offense in the country, scoring 37.7 points per game. And Notre Dame, like Penn State, they have a great rushing attack, as Notre Dame is rushing for 217 rushing yards per game and averaging 6.1 yards per carry. And also like Penn State, Notre Dame, they have a great running back duo, as Jeremiah Love has rushed for 1,076 yards and 16 touchdowns this year, while Jadarian Price has run for 720 yards and 7 scores. Now, Jeremiah Love is dealing with a knee injury, but he is expected to play. And something Notre Dame has that Penn State doesn't have is a dual threat quarterback, as Riley Leonard is one of the better dual threat quarterbacks in the country, and he's run for 831 yards and 15 touchdowns so far this year. And his rushing ability was huge last week in Notre Dame's win over Georgia. But Notre Dame, they now faced an elite Penn State defense that is allowing 15.8 points per game, which ranks 7th in the country, and Penn State, they're also great against the run, as they're allowing 100 rushing yards per game and 3.1 yards per carry, and both those stats rank top 10 nationally. Now, Penn State, they also have allowed teams with good run games to have success on the ground, as when they played Ohio State, they ran for 176 yards, USC ran for 189, and their run game is nothing special, Oregon ran for 186, and Boise State ran for 108. Another big thing is Penn State star defensive end Abdul Carter is dealing with a arm or shoulder injury, and he has not been practicing for Penn State. And Carter, he's been huge for them, with 22 tackles for loss and 7 sacks this season. But this is a game that can definitely go either way. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game, as both these teams are elite defensively, but I'm going to take Notre Dame to get the win. They've had success on the ground so far in both playoff games, despite playing elite run defenses, as they ran for 154 against Georgia and 193 yards against Indiana. Plus, I think what quarterback Riley Leonard can do as a runner is a big difference, but I think this is a close, low-scoring game between two great defenses. But I'm going to take Notre Dame to get the win and advance to the national championship game, as they beat Penn State by a score of 20-13. Moving on to the Cotton Bowl, and that is Texas against Ohio State. So Texas, they're 13-2, and coming off a double overtime win over Arizona State in the quarterfinals. And Ohio State, they're 12-2, and they've been great in the playoffs, destroying both Tennessee and Oregon. But I think this should be a pretty close game. Offensively for Texas, they're scoring 34.3 points per game, and that is pretty good, although there has been times this year when their offense hasn't been great. And that is when Texas can't run the ball, as when Texas rushes for more than 175 yards, they're scoring 40.3 points per game and have a record of 9-0. But when they're held under 175 rushing yards, they're scoring just 25 points per game and have a record of 4-2. But Texas, they now face an Ohio State defense that is the best statistical defense in the country, allowing just 12.1 points per game and 244 total yards per game. And Ohio State, they're also top 5 against both the pass and the run. On the flip side, Ohio State is scoring 36.4 points per game, and they've been unstoppable in the playoffs with over 40 points in both games. And they've been great through the air and on the ground, with at least 300 passing yards and 150 rushing yards in both playoff games. Jeremiah Smith has also been great with 290 receiving yards and 4 receiving touchdowns in the 2 playoff games combined. But Ohio State, they now face a Texas defense that is very good, As Texas, they have the fourth best scoring defense in the country, allowing 14.5 points per game. And Texas, they're also great against the pass, allowing 166 passing yards per game, which ranks third in the country. So I definitely think they have the ability to slow down Jeremiah Smith. And Texas, they're also good against the run, allowing 112 rushing yards per game and 3.2 yards per carry. Now, looking a little further, a big reason Ohio State they've dominated their first two playoff games is their ability to start fast, as they were up 21-0 at the end of the first quarter against Tennessee and 14-0 against Oregon. But this is a Texas defense that also gets off to very good starts. As Texas, they're allowing just 1.8 points per game in the first quarter, which is third best in the country. But this is a game that can definitely go either way. I think Texas has the defense to keep this close and not let Ohio State jump out to the early lead that they're used to. But Ohio State, they've looked unstoppable in their past couple of games, and I'm not picking against them now. I think this can definitely go either way, especially with Texas practically having a home game, with the Cotton Bowl obviously being played in Texas. But Ohio State, I'm not picking against them now, and I've got Ohio State making it to the national championship game as they beat Texas by a score of 31-21. And we will actually have a live watch party for both these playoff games, so be sure to subscribe and turn notifications so you don't miss that. But those are my college football playoff semifinal predictions. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible. Be sure to check out the community tab of my channel, where you guys can vote on who you think will win the playoff games. But that's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.